I truly believe that when we feel like, people say, I'm caught in a rut. Well, I think life is trying to tell you something. It's trying to teach you, you're coming back to that moment for a reason. You're cycling back to that person that you are in that space because you're supposed to be learning something from it, and for me, that was addiction. I was cycling back to that bottom, which seemed to sink lower every time I found it. Because my life, my higher power, the greater existence, my God, whatever language suits your best needs, I choose a power greater than myself, because by myself, I can't do this. It was trying to teach me something for 38 years. It took me 38 years to learn the lesson, and a lot of loss and a lot of, lessons along the way that I missed because, I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to listen. I was much happier, in the ignorance, in the bliss of ignorance. If I just keep staying drunk, then I don't have to pay attention to all the chaos that's going. That literally I'm creating. You know what I mean? If I stay drunk, I don't have to pay attention to my broken family. I don't have to pay attention to my sister's addiction and her suicide. I don't have to worry about it. It's not something that, it's not part of it. It's just her. It's there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything to me because I'm drunk. Who cares? So that was how I avoided all of those things. I used alcohol to avoid feeling, so every time I cycled back around, I didn't really learn the lesson until I was laying on that bed, staring up at a doctor who literally told me, Greg, you can do two things. You can change your life, stop drinking, and you have a chance, or you can continue doing what you're doing now, and there's a better than 50% chance that you'll be dead in a year. And obviously, I'm coming up on 11 months or 13 months sober, so I've made it past a year. I did change my life. That was the final cycle. That was the final return to the lesson that I needed to learn. That rut had finally been broken. That cycle had finally been broken. I learned that I did have to change. That life wasn't something that was happening to me. It was something I was doing to myself. And I always blamed everybody else for all the things that were crappy in my life, instead of blaming myself, which is, we are the creators of our own existence in that way. We go out every day. If we're living with the intent of this is awful, this is miserable, well, guess what your day is going to look like? It's going to be awful and miserable because you've already created that. You've created that. You've manifested it. You're going out and living it now. But if you create the manifestation in the morning as who can I help and how can I be happy today? What can I do that'll make me happy and satisfied and joyous and without the thought of it being about, I guess it's kind of an oxymoron to say, how can I be happy without making myself happy? But, by not making it about myself, by making my purpose about others, it's really kind of helped me to create a much happier place for me. So that's a great side effect, if you will. Since we're talking about drugs, there's a side effect for you,
I love that because it's both ways. You're not only helping others, but in fact, you're helping yourself through helping others. And I think that's the beauty of flipping it the other way around, as opposed to saying it's all about me, but okay, who can I impact and help today? And again, the way that you described it there is beautiful because it doesn't have to be huge things. It can just be simple things that you do on a daily basis, but it all adds up at the end of the day, almost like, microscopic acts of kindness. It doesn't have to be a huge gesture. And I kind of believe in that it is about the small things that have a bigger impact rather than kind of the big gestures, the one-off big gesture that you would do, because that's more manageable, like on a daily basis. You mentioned about, going to the store, making someone's day brighter, just smiling to someone, saying hello, asking the barista their name, hey, I see you every day. What's your name? Whenever I ask your name, suddenly the barista has a smile on their face. because someone's asking. Simple things like that, I guess, it flips it around, and it has that kind of duality of making somebody else's life better and yourself as well. I completely agree with that. Yeah.
Imagine a world where everybody held doors for each other and tried, and helped people carry their bags out to the car, and spent that, let's say, grand total of your entire day, spent 15 minutes doing things for other people. That door, holding the door open, is what, 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Just that kind of thing, and spread it out over the course of your entire day, whatever it is. Can I get you a cup of water? It looks like your water. You look like you finished your water. Would you like another cup of water? I'm going to the kitchen. I'll just grab you one while I'm there. Inconsequential individual events. But if everybody spent 15 minutes doing it, and there's billions of people on the planet, that's a lot of people doing gracious things for other people. And, in today's, a couple of things, in the last, 20 years or so, the world has gotten really small, really small. I mean, look at you and I are literally half the world apart.
Absolutely.
And here we are talking in real time, looking at each other's faces, seeing our expressions, and sharing a moment in time that, if things are working well, you're going to go out and share with your friends, and I'm going to go out and share with my friends, and we're going to spread some joy from this moment outward. And the ability to contact and reach people on a global scale is so powerful, that I think we're losing that context a little bit because it's so easy. The context is being dropped of why have, again, cycling back to that rut, why has it been given to us as a power that we have? Is it so that we can, share pictures and belittle people and laugh and make people feel small? Or is it because it's something where we can enrich our lives and enrich the lives of others and make people feel great and special and wonderful? And if we do the latter, I think a lot, I'm not saying I'm going to solve global issues. I'm not a politician, and I don't ever want to be. But I think if we all spent 15 minutes every day spreading just a little bit for ourselves and the people in our communities, that I think the wave would wash outward, and everybody would be a little bit better off for it.
Really nicely said. Thank you so much for that. A few things I want to kind of bring together: technology, gratitude, reaching out to people. The fact that you're in the States and I'm here in the UAE, completely different time zones. We're talking and looking at each other in real time. The beauty of it is that I'm able to share your story with the people that I know. Whereas, 12 months ago, or even a few months ago, this wouldn't have been possible. But because someone somewhere reached out to 20 of us, say, hey, do you guys want to share your stories? We're going to collectively collect the stories. And how beautiful is that? The fact that now we're able to share each other's stories to the people that we know, and they might be able to connect with the other 20 stories. Now, why I say that is because I got reminded of an uncle of mine who succumbed to addiction, and it was narcotics. And it kind of just brought it home that if he is around now, I would be able to be able to share your story with him, and hopefully, by the power of the higher power, God or whatever, that he would be able to kind of see that there are other people out there, and it is possible to change your life around. But unfortunately, he's no longer with us. And this is why I truly believe the power of sharing the story and flipping it around rather than saying it's about myself. No, it's about someone else, that one other person out there. And I really love the way that you've mentioned that, Greg. And I hope people listening to this understand that we're here to actually say, look, we've been through this. Someone else out there might connect with this, and it just takes one person to be able to connect to this, and it could change their life around. So thank you for that, Greg.
Right. Absolutely. And I wish I could have I don't know if my story would have been the story. I don't know if I break that cycle. Obviously, I like to think that sharing my story is going to help, hopefully more than one, but at least one. One of the things that's coming out of this, like I said, it's growing its own legs, right? It's when I was talking with Rachel and about the culture in the UK of surrounding drinking and drug abuse, specifically alcohol, whiskey and a pint at the pub, and just the cultural aspects of addiction across the globe are so varied. So one of the things I'm going to be doing is a travel blog podcast, trying to investigate a little deeper, more than just who we are as addicts, but more about how did growing up the way that we or I or they grew up create the situations that surround their addiction, or how did it make it tougher for them to break that cycle? So for instance, you've lived in Malaysia and Wisconsin and UAE, and I'm sure each one of those places has their own cultural challenges to sobriety. Whether it be, a macho thing where men are not supposed to succumb to, outside influences, and being addicted to something shows that you're weak, which is a lot of Latin cultures have that strength, that machismo, that they're not allowed to show weakness, right? To South Korean, the social business construct in South Korea is you go to work and everybody at your job leaves the job and goes to the bar together and socializes together and drinks. So then your business day doesn't really end until you've done that. South Korea is going to be social in a drinking environment where they loosen up and they share ideas better. So what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to go back to Olympia where my journey, I guess, with alcohol ended, because I was in Olympia when I was in the hospital, Olympia, Washington. And that's where my drinking ended. I'm now in Los Angeles. So I'm going to go visit these places, and I want to try and get past okay, we're addicts. All right, we've solved that. That's not hard to solve, right? Your life is a mess. Drugs are involved, whatever drug you choose. Actually, I call it your drug of no choice, because once I take a drink of alcohol, I no longer have a choice. It's over for me. My choice is done, so I no longer have a choice. But so the programs call it your drug of choice. Once you start, what are some of the socio-economical, cultural things, challenges that meet us? What's it like to be in rural South? This is one of the reasons why I'm going to Georgia. I want to know what it's like to be in the South, and what culturally, how does that change sobriety? Whether it's getting to it or maintaining it. Northeast, what does it mean there? What does it mean in the Pacific Northwest? What does it mean in the UK? What does it mean in Korea, Mexico? Go to these places and let's investigate what are we really talking about as far as removing barriers for people. Getting rid of shame, getting rid of, maintaining not only our dignity, but say, I can honestly say in any room, anywhere I go, that I'm an alcoholic, and I don't feel any shame about it, because that's not my purpose anymore. My purpose isn't about my alcoholism. It's about, maintaining my sobriety is the most important thing I can do in my life. But if me standing in that room saying that I'm an alcoholic helps one person come up to me and go, hey, yeah, this has kind of been bugging me too. I've already had a friend contact me and go, Greg, you know what? I think I've always known that I drink, but I didn't really realize until I read your story that maybe I'm a heavy drinker. I guess, I put myself in a position, hopefully, where that's my purpose, where I get to talk to one person at a time and say, hey, let's try and find your intent. What's your purpose? What do you think you want to do? And how do you want to do it?